Welcome to our Big South Member Recognition Week. My name is Mark Simpson at the Big South office, and excited to be joined by Campbell men's tennis head coach Dave Johnson, who is in his 21st year leading the Camels on the tennis side, and we're excited to get to know you in this segment for Member Recognition Week. Coach, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, you've been there 21 years. How special has it been for you to be at Campbell for that amount of time? And what do you recall from your first year coaching the squads in 1999?
Well, first of all, the time does indeed go by faster, especially the older we get. But it has been a real pleasure. You know, when I came here years ago, I did not foresee that all this time later I might still be here, but yet I am, and I'm fortunate. I met my wife here, and we got married 17 years ago, and I have a 10-year-old daughter at my age. So this atmosphere and this situation has certainly been good for me. The growth of the school over that period of time it's been incredible. It's been fun to be a part of the transition from the Atlantic Sun back into the Big South, and in terms of where and how things were. I was in a little building back here by the courts, and at that time, in 1999, I was at the far ends of the campus with little or nothing else around me, and I think I might have had dial-up internet or something like that. So I was really flying solo, you know, coaching both teams, and at the time, the conditions that I inherited, you know, weren't the most stable. So was kind of a fresh start for them and for me, and to have over the period of time built things up, made the adaptations and kind of transition where we are now. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, you mentioned, you know, the recent success. The last five of the last six men's tennis championship finals have seen the Camels contending for that title, winning it in 2018. What has led to the consistency of that success in the last few years? And then what are some of the challenges you face maintaining that success on a yearly basis?
It has been a good run for us. It has been fun to be right there at the top each and every year. And obviously that's the objective as we start each and every year, is to compete for a conference championship and advance to the NCAAs. And I think in all those years, we've never gone in as the number one seed. You know, in some years we've kind of snuck up on some people, and to have made that amount of finals and to have been a regular season champion a year or so ago and to have won it the year before, yeah, it's been fun. I credit the players first and foremost. They've really worked hard to put ourselves in that position. I've had some good assistants and GAs, you know, helping me through that period of time. So that's been a real asset, and I've certainly enjoyed it. You know, it's been a very competitive league, you know, a little bit more so on the men's side, but more and more recently, the women's side has become more equitable as too. And the fact that a lot of the matches are 4-3 matches, you know, where they really come down to oftentimes the last match is made it very compelling and very exciting, I think, for the coaches, the players, the spectators, everyone involved. So we've enjoyed it. That's where we want to be. That's where we hope we'll be come this next springtime.
You're a graduate of Winthrop, 1981. You began your coaching career in 84, I believe, at Upstate. So you have some Big South background, which is always exciting. But when did you realize you wanted to pursue a coaching career?
Well, I did when I graduated Winthrop in 81. I was playing tournaments at the time. I had played for the team there, and I was obviously younger, more athletic, and I got into coaching at a club in Spartanburg, South Carolina, as a tennis pro, and that led to some other gigs, you know, in Atlanta and so forth. And I guess as those years went by, being a teaching pro at racket clubs and country clubs, I realized that if I was going to stay in tennis, it wasn't going to be as a player, obviously, and it really didn't fit my agenda as much being in a club. I wanted to try to go to that next level, where the competition was greater, because I was young and had just come from that. And so that kind of created the opening, which the first opportunity came there at USC. It was USC Spartanburg then. It's USC Upstate now. But that presented that opportunity. And from there, things led to other opportunities as the time went by. And I, embraced it. I had some mentors at the time. I was learning more about it, more about myself and the process, and enjoyed it. And that's led me to where I am now.
Who were some of your mentors early on in your coaching career? Who did you kind of lean on? And, what were some things that they taught you that you now teach to your team?
I was close over the years with Coach Scarpa, Paul Scarpa, who was very successful for many, many years there at Furman University. And I even worked some of the camps years ago with him when he was there still. And I also knew Coach Frank, Jeff Frank at Davidson, quite well. My father attended Davidson, and I think I actually went to a tennis camp there and got to know Coach Frank. And I would say those two were very influential in me in terms of their demeanor, their approach. My father as well was a coach, not in tennis necessarily, but he was a coach and an athletics director before he went into the ministry. But he built a clay court in our backyard and basically taught me how to play. So I would have to certainly include him as well. But, earlier in my younger days, I was a little more, I suppose, hot-headed. I don't know if that's the right description, but a little more reactionary, I suppose. And over the years, I think I've grown and matured. I'm not saying I still don't have some of those elements, but I suppose I have a little better control of the accelerator nowadays. One thing I even tell our recruits, among others, is that I try to get to know our players, even when I coach the girls as well, as individuals. We do have players from domestically and internationally from anywhere and everywhere. And I don't think necessarily there's a one-size-fits-all approach to coaching, at least in our sport, because of the diversity, personalities, backgrounds, countries, cultures, styles of play. So you have to kind of better to get to know them individually. What works well for one might not work quite the same for another. And so that's kind of a philosophy I've tried to promote over the years. And certainly I've had some success with it, and some struggles as well. So I hope that addresses that.
Yeah, good stuff. We're gonna shift gears a little bit. We're gonna go into some fun questions as we get ready to wrap up. Again, this is the get to know you segment, so we want to know your fun things about tennis and your interest within the game. And the first question would be who was or is, even from the different eras, your favorite tennis player?
Well, I started playing late by today's standards. I think I was in my early teens, probably 12, 13. My dad, having been an athletics director and quite a multi-sport athlete back in the early and mid-'70s, you still, at least I did in high school, you kind of played what sport was in season. So, I played basketball in the winter. I played football in high school in the fall, and a variety of other things. Back in the 70s, I first started watching when Connors and McEnroe and Borg and Everett were all at the forefront. And so that created a kind of a boom in tennis back then in the 70s. From that point forward, you had the Agassi-Sampras kind of era, and that's when America was so dominant. And then beyond that, I would say I liked Edberg and Federer. I like that style, the gracefulness, one-handed backhand. We don't see as much of that anymore. Net play. So those would be some things that would factor into my my background, my preferences, my likes.
That's great. with the U.S. Open going on right now, do you have a favorite tennis Grand Slam event and or international competition?
The U.S. Open's always been a highlight. I've been there several times, in years past, especially when I was in school on Long Island. I remember when it was at Forest Hills, and now it's at Flushing Meadow. But, the atmosphere, it's a little weird watching it right now with no fans. But the atmosphere there is pretty unique. And then I guess, Wimbledon for the tradition. I've been to Roland Garros, the French Open. My wife is actually from France and was a very good player. So we've actually been there as well. I've been to Wimbledon. So and I spent time in Australia. I didn't make the Australian Open, but the Grand Slams, obviously speak the most. Tradition, prestige. Be hard to pick one. I guess Wimbledon is the most prestigious because it's the oldest and the most revered, maybe like the Masters in golf, but I guess everybody has their own perspective.
In addition to that, is there a national or global tennis event that you have not attended that you want to, that's on your bucket list?
It'd be nice to go back to the U.S. Open. It's probably been over 20 years, 25 years since I was last there. I haven't seen the new Arthur Ashe Stadium or many of the upgrades that have been made. So, and I think that would be the most attainable one, being here in the States. So, yeah, I suppose I'd love to go back and take my wife and daughter. As I said, I've been there to both Wimbledon and the French Open in Europe. But I guess that would be fun.
If you could select a doubles playing partner, and you can answer it how you want. It could be a pro, it could be a personal friend, your wife. But if you could pick a doubles playing partner and play a professional group, whether it's mixed doubles or what have you, who would be your partner and who would you challenge to a friendly match of doubles?
Yeah, I think that would be easy. I would say my wife. She's almost 6 feet tall. She's left-handed. She played at Ole Miss back in the 90s, and she trained at Bollettieri's with Agassi and Serena and a lot of those. So I would say we would want to play Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf, two former number ones, and that would be a lot of fun to be on the court for all the obvious reasons.
Great. All right, our last question that we have for you in this segment: what is something about you that your team does not know and would be surprised to learn about?
That's interesting. Boy, as I get older, the players get younger. I think I could probably dig out some old pictures where when I played, the shorts were pretty short, the socks were pretty high, and my hair was pretty long. So I think a combination of all those would certainly catch them off guard. I could even break out a couple of old wood rackets that I used to play with. I don't know if I can find any white tennis balls anymore. But back when I started playing, that was the norm. Beyond that, other hobbies or activities, I used to kind of ride and race motorcycles, and I was a big motorcycle guy, and I used to water ski a lot. And I don't know if they would recognize that in me. And I was actually pretty good at both. So there would be a combination of things there that might catch their attention, perhaps.
That's great. Really appreciate you sharing a little bit about yourself in this Get to Know segment. Coach, thanks for joining us, and it was a lot of fun today. Thanks so much.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity, and certainly for the time spent here. I hope it's helpful. Thanks again.
Thank you.